Hi guys, I'm McGann, and welcome back to another breathtaking episode of There I Read It, where I am reading the Harry Potter books chapter by chapter for the first time ever in my life, and I really have no context to know what's coming ahead of me. So, we are in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, chapter 16. Wow. Gotten farther than I realized. And this is the chapter with the actual Goblet of Fire making an appearance. So every student in Hogwarts is so excited that Victor Crum is one of the kids that have shown up for the TriWizard Tournament. And I don't know necessarily that this is an important detail. You know, Victor Crum is a big Quidditch star. He's actually on a major professional team. I believe it was for Bulgaria that he was playing for. But yeah, so it's kind of a big deal. He's like a celebrity there in the school. And then we see the Beauxbaton girls just jump to their feet when Madame Maxine appears, and they will not sit or relax until she sits down. And I don't know if that has some cultural significance. I believe Beauxbaton is a French school. So I don't know if that's just like how the French kids are conditioned to behave, and that's supposed to be a reference to that, or what that means, but it's definitely giving off the impression that Madame Maxine cracks a pretty hard whip. And it is said that the TriWizard Tournament is going to start at the end of this great feast. So the kids are all sitting there eating, and there's this blonde Beauxbaton girl. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Beauxbaton, is that right? Beauxbaton. This blonde girl who is allegedly French. Ron thinks that she is a Vila because she's just so gorgeous. She does not look natural. She does not look humanly. And the kids notice that at the head table where all of the teachers and, Dumbledore sit, Ludo Bagman and Mr. Crouch, which is Percy's boss, are also sitting at the head table. And it makes sense for Ludo Bagman to be there because he's the head of whatever they call it, like the division of games and sports or whatever it was. Like, so it makes sense that he would be involved with the TriWizard Tournament. I'm not sure what Mr. Crouch would have to offer on this, but then again, I'm a little fuzzy on what his position was. Let's look it up. Let's see. I just have Barty Crouch knows 200 plus languages, so I'm not sure what division he's in. Okay, Department of International Magical Cooperation. Okay, so that does make sense. The Department of International Magical Cooperation is where Mr. Crouch does his work. So, of course, he would regulate between the schools and sort of set the whole thing up. Okay, yeah, everything's perfect now. I got it. It makes sense. And Ludo Bagman and Barty Crouch are also on the judges panel for... I'm not clear if that was for the entire tournament or just for the selection of who's going to be in the tournament. But there are going to be 3 tasks in this tournament. They're going to go on over the entire school year, and they will be scored for, whatever that means. I don't know, somebody going to do a dive off of a board and just get, there's a 7, there's a 10, there's a 3 kind of a thing. I'm not quite sure how this scoring can be applied, but I assume that we'll get a better grasp of that in later chapters. And now this cask with jewels all over it appears, and inside of it is the Goblet of Fire. And the goblet, if anybody doesn't know, is something where you write your name on a piece of parchment, you put it into the goblet, and then the goblet will select what minors get to participate in the TriWizard Tournament, I guess. No, they don't have to be minors. I think they just have to be students. So theoretically, some of them could be over 18, I think. But again, if somebody knows the British schooling system better than I do, let me know. Because in the United States, typically you turn 18 during your last year of schooling. But I know, some places are different and some areas have adults at different ages. Like I think in Russia, you're 16 and you're an adult. So that actually, because I think Bulgaria is a Slavic nation as well. So that might be why Victor Crum is on a professional team. I'm really curious if they're going to explain this more later, because I'd like to know more of the ins and outs of how this works. Anyways, this goblet is very impressive looking, and it has blue and white flames in it. And the students are told that they have 24 hours to put their name and school on a piece of parchment and put it in that cup. And then the goblet will choose the most worthy to represent each school. Okay, so I answered my own question there that I must have forgotten. So Ludo Bagman and Barty Crouch must be on the tournament scoring committee. They're not selecting champions. But to keep younger wizards from putting their name into the goblet, they make an age line around the goblet that will keep anybody out. And so Fred and George are like, oh, that's it? We can totally beat that. And they ask Harry to join in with them, but he does not. Or at least he does not as far as we know. It does get a little curious at the end of this chapter, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. And it turns out that Karkaroff, which is the headmaster of Durmstrang. One of these days I'll figure these words out, but then I won't be reading this book anymore. Yes, the headmaster of the foreign school, he really favors Victor Crum. And the headmaster is very cold and kind of cruel to the other kids. It's like, you know, Crum is the Harry Potter of the Durmstrang. Crum is the Harry Potter of Durmstrang, so he gets the special treatment and the special privileges, and everybody else is second fiddle trash, basically. Which is interesting, because they don't seem to have that same kind of favoritism in Beauxbaton. Like, there's no one Beauxbaton girl that stands out. There's just one that's remarked as being more pretty than the others, not one that's remarked as being more favored than the others. And Karkaroff gets to this point where he stares at Harry, and it's like he figures out who he is, and they're just like in this weird, awkward moment. And then Professor Moody shows up, and Karkaroff is like, you. And that's really weird and ominous. Like, is Karkaroff on bad terms with Moody? Is he seeing through certain issues that might be present right now? I don't know. It's curious. Very curious. So anyways, this age line has been drawn. They set the goblet on the sorting hat stool. So Fred and George, they see that age line. They're like, okay, we've got this thing. It should age us up just enough that we can put our names in the cup. And they get over the line. They get across the ring. And then all of a sudden they get tossed back out. And they have these white beards from where either their potion went bad or the age line messed with it to make them much older than they intended to be. But okay, with the way that this system is set up, which is that you have to write your name and your school on a piece of paper and put it in the goblet, but there's a line around the goblet so you can't get over it if you're not 17. Why don't Fred and George write their names on a piece of paper and hand it to somebody who's over the age of 17 to put it in the goblet for them? That seems like a really easy solution rather than trying to magic your way over it, because it doesn't say you have to put your own name in the cup. It just says you cannot cross the age line unless you're at least 17 years old. So easy fix, right? Put your name on a paper, hand it to your friend, bribe them, pay them some money, do something to get them to put your name in that cup for you. Like, this isn't that hard, boys. Think with your heads. And Angelina Johnson, who is on the Gryffindor Quidditch team, she puts her name in the cup. And this is the first time that I've actually caught it mentioned that Angelina is a person of color. So I think that's interesting. We're finally getting a better sense of the diversity that is at Hogwarts. But I also want to pull up this point, and I know I've said this in past videos too. It still kind of irks me how the author went, well, I never said that Hermione was white. You guys just assumed it. And the thing is, when you go around identifying all the other characters as specific people of color, then not naming Hermione as being any other color other than, Caucasian is naming her as Caucasian, because you've set the assumption that people who are not named as a different skin tone are white. So I hate that whole argument that, oh, well, I never said that she was white. You guys just made that up in your head. Like, madam, you cannot go around and racially describe some people and not others, and then blame the readers for making the assumption that you set out. Don't come back later and try to act like you did something that you didn't. Anyways, mini rant aside, Hogwarts did not seem to have any champions prepped. And that seems really weird to me because they're the host of this event. Because Durmstrang and Beauxbaton both came with their most likely to succeed students. They came with their most promising champions. But the Hogwarts people were just kind of like, you want to put your name in? I don't know. Maybe so-and-so will put it in. Maybe. You would think that Hogwarts would have lined out their best 10 or 12 students or whatever that would want to do this process and want to submit their names. And I'm confused why they didn't. That seems like a great big ball drop for the hosting school. Because how embarrassing would it be if nobody from Hogwarts put their name in during that 24-hour period? I mean, come on, like, such strange little plot holes here that just don't add up and make sense when you look at this rationally. But anyways, again, other little tangent aside, the kids go to see Hagrid, and Hagrid is all prettied up because he has a little crush on Madame Maxine, who is also a very gigantic person. But Hermione asks Hagrid to join Spew, which is her sort of nonprofit activist group to get freedom for the house elves, and Hagrid refuses to join. He doesn't want anything to do with it. But I just think it's so cute that Hagrid has a little crush. He's just like such a big sweet teddy bear. I kind of hope it works out for him. And then it is time to get the names out of the Goblet of Fire, and these blue flames turn red and sparks shoot, and the cup spits out a charred up piece of paper that when they get it, it has the names Victor Crum, Fleur Delacour, who was the girl that looked like the Vila because she was such a hottie toddy, Cedric Diggory from the Hufflepuff house, go Huffies, that didn't sound right, go Puffies, that sounds more reasonable and cute, and then Harry Potter. Yeah, even though there's only supposed to be 3 wizards because it's a TriWizard Tournament, Harry Potter's name has shot out of that cup and nobody knows why. It is a very confusing what the heckity heck moment. And I have some ideas of why that is, obviously, especially with the way that this book started, with the very dark chapter on the Riddle House, that this is part of a Voldemort plan. So I don't know. Maybe it was a kid who just wanted to mess around and be like, haha, I'm putting Harry's name in, and threw it in the goblet. But, you know, even though I don't remember the movies perfectly, I remember enough of the larger plot points from when the movies released that I don't think ultimately that is going to fall in line with what the book is going to do. I think it has to be a Voldemort-related event that Harry's name came out of the goblet. Although that does raise the question, how did he tamper with the goblet if it was under this sort of lock and key jeweled box situation? Especially since Voldemort is not in good shape and he seems to only have Wormtongue as a follower and companion. Like, everybody else seems to have run off and wanted nothing to do with Voldemort. But it's also true that he was sort of eating or absorbing people, and maybe he's reforming a body. Like, I don't know. But we'll find out together, okay? I'm sure most people watching this have already read the books, but that's okay. Well, I'll catch up with you. Just don't put any spoilers in the comments. I hate that. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, please. Comment if you have something to say. Those are always fun, even though I'm a little behind on comments. Things have been hectic in real life world lately. But I always try to go back and read them, and I appreciate them even if I don't have time to respond to them all. And we will, I guess, see you in the next installment of There I Read It, where I will be in chapter 17 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. See you next time, family members. Bye! Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that? Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Fanily and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos, like you, helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.